Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Audio Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. Inside the resting area of White Dragon High School. At this moment, Xiong was looking at the rankings on the sky pillar, especially the name in the first place. He thought to himself, Xiong, ha. No wonder senior sister Li valued him back then. Although I ultimately eliminated him in the disciple selection, he does have his merits. He glanced at Song Hailong beside him, thinking, I can switch sparring partners now. On the other side, Song Hailong seemed to sense Yuxing's gaze. He glanced at the departing figure, and then turned his gaze to the names on the sky pillar. Looking at Zhang Yu's name in first place, he thought to himself, perhaps I should also switch sparring partners. Song Hailong even felt a hint of regret, thinking that he shouldn't have cancelled his sparring sessions with Zhang Yu earlier. That way, he might have witnessed how Zhang Yu transformed step by step to reach this level today. In the resting area of Songyang High School, to everyone's surprise, Yuxing walked over. Although Zhang Yu had defeated him this time, Yuxing's dominant performance in the first 3 rounds of the competition was still deeply imprinted in their minds. At this moment, when the students of Songyang High School saw Yuxing up close, they were forced to retreat by the aura of the golden core disciple and the top student of White Dragon High School. A girl beside Hidayu whispered, isn't it customary for White Dragon High School to kneel? Should we kneel to welcome him? What nonsense are you talking about? Another boy said, this is Xian High School. Do you know what the etiquette is for Xian when greeting the top student? Hidayu couldn't stand the sight of these compatriots being so servile in front of the White Dragon people, and said coldly, this is the resting area of Songyang High School, and that ground is the land of Songyang High School. At most, we'll just bow to this White Dragon person. Bai Zhenzhen thought to herself, a bunch of good-for-nothings. I, the 5th place in the sports competition, have to step up and communicate with Yuxing. She walked up to Yuxing and asked, what do you want? Yuxing glanced at her and said indifferently, let's at each other as friends. Bai Zhenzhen was slightly stunned. This guy came to at her as a friend. Who knew this golden core disciple liked making friends so much? Coincidentally, she, Bai Zhenzhen, also liked making friends and immediately said, 500 for a friend slot. Then forget it. Yuxing put away his newly exchanged phone and said lightly, actually, I didn't really want to add you that much. Bai Zhenzhen quickly said, then 100, is 100 okay? Seeing Yuxing actively take out his phone to add her as a friend again, Bai Zhenzhen was shocked. Is this guy really a golden core disciple, a rich person? Bai Zhenzhen had never seen a rich person bargain with her over a few $100s before. I came here mainly to see Zhang Yu. Yuxing looked at Zhang Yu, who was still resting on the sofa. Yuxing wasn't someone who was born invincible and had never seen anyone stronger than himself. Moreover, even when facing opponents weaker than him, sometimes there were things he could learn and reflect on. Just like his sparring partner Song Hailong during this past period, his indomitable and upright spirit was something he should take as a warning. It constantly reminded him not to become arrogant just because he was the top student, and to abandon a great martial arts specialty sneak attacks for the sake of some worthless self-esteem and airs. Of course, besides learning, there was another important reason for hiring Song Hailong as a sparring partner. But this reason was a secret belonging to Yuxing, and only he knew it under the heavens. And speaking only of learning, the Zhang Yu in front of him had even more things worth learning. Those exquisite physical techniques. I really want to learn them. I want to learn them by fighting him. At this moment, Yuxing looked at Zhang Yu as if he were looking at a knowledge-filled feast, wanting to completely absorb the other party bit by bit and transform him into nourishment to become stronger. So Yuxing looked at Zhang Yu and said, train with me. I'll give you 6,000 an hour. Are you in? Zhang Yu's eyes moved. Although he would soon have prize money and endorsement fees coming in, no one in Kongshu ever felt they had too much money. Zhang Yu asked, how will we train? Yuxing stroked his chin, thinking as he said, it's practical combat training, I guess. Just try your best to defeat me. Zhang Yu 15,000 an hour. Yuxing 7,000 at most. Zhang Yu 7,000 is impossible. It has to be at least 12,000. I can't be lower than Song Hailong, right? Zhang Yu still remembered that Song Hailong was paid 10,000 yuan an hour to be Yu Xing'an's sparring partner. Yu Xing'an said helplessly, then 11,000. That's the most I can offer. If you don't want it, I'm leaving. Watching the departing figure, Zhang Yu quickly said, okay, 11,000 it is. So when Yu Xing'an left, he had already added Zhang Yu as a friend and agreed to come to White Dragon High School next time to have practical combat training with him. Just then, accompanied by the vibration of his phone, Yu Xing'an opened it and saw it was a call from Li Zulian. Remembering the weight he was asked to report in the last round, Yu Xing'an smiled and answered the phone. Senior Sister Li, you should have seen the results of the competition. Li Zulian didn't dwell on the matter of the last round. In her opinion, it was purely accidental. No one could have predicted that Zhang Yu would achieve such a result at that stage. Her previous judgment was not wrong. It was just that Zhang Yu as a person surprised Li Zulian somewhat. However, Li Zulian wasn't interested in talking about these things with Yu Xing'an at the moment, and simply said, the contract has been adjusted. The following advertisements and endorsements will be done together, by you and Zhang Yu. After explaining the contract matters, Li Zulian wanted to hang up the phone. But then she heard Yu Xing'an suddenly say, Senior Sister Li, I want to ask Zhang Yu to train with me. He has many advantages worth learning and absorbing. Then Yu Xing'an said somewhat nervously, I discussed a fee of 15,000 an hour with him. Do you think you can approve it? As a Golden Core disciple, Yu Xing'an could be said to be very rich and also very poor. Rich, because Starfire Genren and Li Zulian had invested countless resources in him, enough to make many wealthy students in Songyang City envious. Poor, because every expense of his needed to be approved by Li Zulian, and the pocket money he could fully control each month was only 5,000 yuan. This state of being both poor and rich was precisely the reason why he initially rejected Bai Zhenzhen's friend slot. After all, Li Zulian might not approve of a 500 yuan friend slot for Bai Zhenzhen, which would be too expensive for him. It was also another reason why he hired Song Hailong as a sparring partner before. It was an opportunity for him to embezzle tuition fees. 15,000? Li Zulian recalled Zhang Yu's performance and said lightly, okay, remember to record your fee records and the process of your exchanges each time and report them to me. Yu Xing'an understood that she was afraid he would falsely report tutoring fees and tutoring hours and embezzle public funds. He had his own way of dealing with it. And after Li Zulian hung up the phone, she was slightly curious about the outcome of Yu Xing'an and Zhang Yu's exchanges. After all, Yu Xing'an had received Starfire Genren's training for so long, and in Li Zulian's opinion, he was definitely far superior to Zhang Yu in terms of practical combat. But this Zhang Yu does have something worth Yu Xing'an learning. 15,000 is worth it. It's just that back then, perhaps I should have signed this Zhang Yu as well. When she told Starfire Genren about the sports competition results and her thoughts, she also received Starfire Genren's reply. Starfire Genren said somewhat regretfully that Zhang Yu seems to be very good. I underestimated him a bit back then. If we had ample resources, we should have signed him. But since our resources are only enough to cultivate one disciple, we can only choose the most outstanding and promising one. All right, Zulian, the past is already in the past. Don't worry about gains and losses and increase your troubles in vain. Inside the resting area of Songyang High School, Zhang Yu had just negotiated the sparring project with Yu Xing'an and then received a sparring application from Song Hailong. But before he could finish discussing the price with Song Hailong, he received a message from Lemulan. Lemulan, can I ask you to practice ground combat with me? Zhang Yu suddenly felt a scorching and busy sensation. He sighed, alas, there are so many classes that I can't arrange them all, and I can't earn all the money. Bai Zhenzhen had been watching Zhang Yu reply to messages, and said upon hearing this, Yuzi, if you can't make up for them all, then I can help you substitute. I'm not in me from 2 months ago, during the martial arts competition. Zhang Yu's eyes moved, thinking of Bai Zhenzhen's 5th place ranking this time. In fact, Bai Zhenzhen's results and progress speed were already very fast and amazing. If she had a good background, then as long as she continued to maintain this in her 2nd and 3rd years of high school, she would definitely be able to get into the top 10 in the future. But now, because of her identity as a poor person, she needs higher requirements to get into the top 10. A Zhen's progress speed is only a little slower compared to me, and even faster than Song Hailong and Le Mulin's progress. There's definitely no problem with being a sparring partner for Le Mulin and Song Hailong. And Zhang Yu knew that a Zhen also needed this money very much. With money, a Zhen's improvement can be faster, and she can get into the top 10 with me in the future. Thinking of getting into the top 10 with a Zhen, a trace of gloom rose in Zhang Yu's heart again. He still remembered his sister's request that the two of them win the first and second place in the competition. But this Yu Xing'an, Song Hailong, Le Mulin. One is more hardworking than the other, and one is more abnormal than the other. I don't know what impact of Zhen's current competition results have on getting into the top 10. I'll ask my sister tonight. That night, not long after the competition ended, Zhang Yu, Bai Zhenjin, and Zhang Pianpian met under the bridge. The three stood by the river and chatted casually for a few words. Looking at the gurgling water in front of them, Zhang Pianpian suddenly asked a question. Zhang Yu, if I give you a chance to go to the second floor with me in 2 months, would you be willing? In 2 months, you'll go to the second level with Zhang Pianpian. Just as Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin were astonished, Zhang Pianpian continued, the college entrance examination will begin in less than 2 months. After the exam, I will go to Kunshu's second level for an interview. Under normal circumstances, students who succeed in the interview will stay at the university. After all, time is tight, and all university students must start classes before enrolling. So, in 2 months, I won't be able to protect you in Songyang City. Zhang Pianpian turned her head and looked at Zhang Yu, saying, but as I said before, I have prepared a path for you, which is the prodigy class of the Myriad Dharma University. Zhang Yu knew about Myriad Dharma University. It was the direct university of the Myriad Dharma sect, one of the top 10 sects and one of the top 10 universities. Like Xianyang Group, Deep Sea Education Group, Wangxing Group, even Songyang High School and Beilong High School, if you trace them back, they all ultimately belong to the Myriad Dharma sect. The competition between these companies and schools is seen as internal competition by the Myriad Dharma sect above. But prodigy class. What is that? Zhang Yu searched his memory, but couldn't recall it. Sister, what is this prodigy class? Can I apply in the first year of high school? Can I get into university? Zhang Pianpian explained, the so-called prodigy class is where Myriad Dharma University exceptionally admits first-year high school students and focuses on cultivating a group of immortal Dao geniuses in advance, so you can become a university student in the first year of high school. The main applicants for the prodigy class are generally first-year high school students from the second level, so few people on the first level know about it. Zhang Yu understood this was a shortcut for the second level overlords. Zhang Pianpian continued, your competition results have been very good recently. As long as you get in the top 3 in the upcoming Dao Heart competition, and use the prize money and endorsement fees to heavily supplement your Dao techniques, you should be able to meet the application requirements for the Myriad Dharma University Prodigy class. Then, as long as you pass the Prodigy class exam, you can enter Myriad Dharma University with me. Zhang Yu was overjoyed upon hearing this, especially when he thought that this way, he could avoid the net woven by the rich in Songyang City for poor people taking the top 10, and no longer have to worry about the danger after Zhang Pianpian left. But the next moment, he turned to look at Bai Zhenjin beside him, and asked Zhang Pianpian, sister, what about Zhen? Are her grades good enough to apply for the prodigy class? Previously, Zhang Yu had been worried about Bai Zhenjin's competition results. Although Zhen's progress had been astonishing, and her results of top 4 in the martial arts competition and top 5 in the physical competition were definitely excellent, but Zhang Pianpian shook her head. I'm afraid she won't meet the standards of the prodigy class. Hearing this, Zhang Yu's heart sank, and he turned to look at Bai Zhenjin again. But Bai Zhenjin chuckled and said, it's okay, Yuzi, you guys go to the second level of Kongshu first, and help me set up a forward base. I'll be up in 2 years. Zhang Yu didn't answer, but instead looked at Zhang Pianpian, and said, sister, is there no way to be flexible? Can't we use connections to buy a qualification for the prodigy class exam? Bai Zhenjin, who was beside him, also started breathing slightly faster, looking nervously at Zhang Pianpian, her hands already clenched tightly together unconsciously. Facing the gazes of the two, Zhang Pianpian said calmly, it can't be done. You must understand that in terms of crossing classes, there are many rules in Kungshu that cannot be violated. If you want to climb up one level at a time, there is no other way except through grades and exams. Only within the rules, through one assessment after another, obtaining sufficiently excellent results, and obtaining the required certificates, can you climb up in Kungshu. This is the iron law of Kungshu. Anyone who wants to violate this iron law will only be met with thunderous strikes. Bai Zhenzhen's heart trembled upon hearing these words. In a moment of silence, Bai Zhenzhen suddenly laughed. I said it's okay, Yuzi, you go up first and compete with the second level overlords. I'll stay in Songyang and suppress all the rich people here before going up. Although she said so, Bai Zhenzhen knew that what she said wasn't true. She really didn't want to stay in Songyang City alone. But there's no way, I can't let on you give up the opportunity to go to university and stay here with me, right? If I said such a thing, I wouldn't even be able to be friends with you, right? Just then, Zhang Yu said again, Sister, is there really no way to take Ajin with us? A chill surged from Zhang Yu's heart, because the countdown of the ritual entered his mind before Zhang Yu could say his next sentence. It was as if urging him to seize the opportunity and get into university quickly. But under the pressure of this chill, Zhang Yu paused and finally said what he wanted to say, what the ritual wouldn't let him say. Because he knew that he would never be at ease if he didn't ask this question. Zhang Yu said, or, if I stay, do you think Hezhen and I can take the normal route and get into the top 10? Like you, sister? Jiang Pianpian shook her head. My path is only suitable for me. You can't take it. Idiot. The evil god disguised as a rosary beads cursed, are you stupid? It's good that Bai Zhenzhen can't be brought up. Kill her and snatch her spiritual root. Relying on the conditions of Myriad Dharma University, plus your talent in her spiritual route, you will definitely enter the nascent soul realm within 1 or 200 years. A future of wealth and cultivation freedom is just around the corner. The evil god felt extremely angry at this moment. He felt that he had never seen such a fool. He was 10 times more stupid than the poorest, most despicable, and most stupid mortals he had ever deceived. Damn poor ghost. You deserve to eat dirt on the first level of Kungshu for the rest of your life. Bai Zhenjin, hearing Zhang Yu's words, also said, what are you being silly about? Yuzi, if you have a chance to get into the top 10, hurry up. Looking at Bai Zhenjin's pretending to be relaxed appearance, Zhang Yu suddenly said, you will be played to death, Ajin. Ajin, if we all leave, and only you are left here, you will be played to death by those people. Bai Zhenjin fell silent upon hearing this. Especially during this period, as she learned more and more about the student union, high school, and the means of companies, and as she cultivated hard with Zhang Yu, and studied under Zhang Pianpian's care. Bai Zhenjin realized that she could no longer accept her own independent progress as calmly as she had in the past. And as Zhang Yu said these words, he nakedly placed the things she had just deliberately avoided thinking about and pondering in front of her. At this moment, Bai Zhenjin felt as if she had fallen into an ice lake, with boundless darkness and cold in front of her, and she could only keep sinking down, unable to see the direction of the future. So scared. I'm so scared. Bai Zhenjin wanted to say something, wanted to smile, and tell Zhang Yu to be rational, and go to the second level first. But the fear of the future, the fear of the surrounding darkness that kept devouring her, made it impossible for her to say those words calmly again, at this moment. I'm sorry, Yuzi. Bai Zhenjin lowered her head, clenching her fists tighter and tighter, and said bitterly in her heart, I'm too useless. I really can't just let you go. On the other side, Zhang Yu looked at Zhang Pianpian, as if waiting for her answer. But as Zhang Pianpian remained silent, the chill in Zhang Yu's heart deepened. Obviously, the power of the ritual, as the power that had been pushing Zhang Yu to study hard, cultivate hard, and get into the top 10 universities, could not allow Zhang Yu to give up such an opportunity to get into Myriad Dharma University at this moment. Please abide by the ritual agreement, work hard to fulfill your wish, and do not deliberately be lazy or delay. 5. Please abide by the ritual agreement, work hard to fulfill your wish, and do not deliberately be lazy or delay. 4. As the countdown in his ears approached the limit, Zhang Yu knew that there was not much time left for him. He could no longer continue to persist. At this moment, he thought in his heart, I'm sorry, Aizhen. But if I insist on staying, I will only be killed by this ritual. Not daring to look at Bai Zhenjian beside him, Zhang Yu knew that he had to accept Zhang Pianpian's plan before the countdown completely ended. The qi and blood in his body surged. A rage rose in his mind. This broken world, this garbage Kungshui world. Just as Zhang Yu was about to speak at the last moment, a sigh came from Zhang Pianpian's mouth. Zhang Pianpian, alas, I knew it. You two are really. Must you go together? Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian raised their heads sharply, looking at Zhang Pianpian with wide eyes. And feeling the expectation in their eyes, Zhang Pianpian said helplessly, if you don't participate in the prodigy class, it means that after I leave, you must stay on the first level of Kungshu, honestly finish 3 years of high school, take the college entrance examination, and get into university. Without my protection, if you want to avoid the encirclement and suppression of the rich and get into the top 10 in the next 2 years. The only way I can think of is this. But this method is very difficult, extremely difficult. Even I have not succeeded in doing it during my 3 years in this high school. Zhang Pianpian's words of another method stopped the countdown in Zhang Yu's mind, and made Zhang Yu impatiently ask, what method? The method is, Zhang Pianpian said slowly, after I leave, before you graduate from high school, you must take the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate, while going to school. What? That's the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate. Zhang Yu thought to himself, why does your tone sound as simple as taking the CET- for before graduating from high school? That's the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate, not some CET-4. Many college students can't pass the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate, and you want high school students to take it. Moreover, can high school students take the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate? And how can they take the Foundation Establishment Certificate before graduating from high school? Zhang Yu said in shock, Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate? Isn't this something that can only be taken in university? Bai Zhenjian also said with a shocked face, can high school students take the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate? Meeting Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian's nervous and puzzled gazes, Zhang Pianpian started by talking about something else. About several decades ago, the university's Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate program began to reduce the number of admissions. Do you know why the number of admissions was reduced? Zhang Pianpian didn't expect them to answer and continued to speak on her own, because the total number of foundation establishments each year is limited. And reducing the number of foundation establishments at universities is to allocate some of the Foundation Establishment Qualification certificates to high school students. Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian were shocked. University students were allocating Foundation Establishment Qualification certificates to them, high school students. Are we worthy? Seeming to guess what they were thinking, Zhang Pianpian continued, not high school students like us. Zhang Pianpian pointed upwards and said, it's those high school students above. Amidst their surprised gazes, Zhang Pianpian further explained, do you think those on the second level of Kungshu and above, like those staying on the 5th, 10th, or even the 20th level of Kungshu? Those golden core true persons, nascent soul grade experts, and even those above, like transformation god, and refinement void stage super rich, whose immortal wealth is astronomical. Will their children, descendants, and disciples have to take the college entrance examination and enter the top 10 like us? Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian were slightly stunned. Instinctively, they felt that the high school students above didn't need to honestly take the college entrance examination like them. But how exactly did the high school students above enter the path of immortality? Besides the prodigy class, how did they attend high school and university? They couldn't imagine it. Zhang Pianpian continued to explain, the descendants or disciples cultivated by those upper-class super-rich, still, have to abide by Kungshu's rules and enter the path of immortality in high school. The Foundation Establishment Qualification certificates I just mentioned being allocated to high school students are allocated to these kinds of high school students, which is why there is a special examination, an examination for the Foundation Establishment Qualification certificate, that high school students can apply for. Bai Zhenjian asked, can we also participate in this examination? Could it be that we have to compete with the upper-class high school students? Zhang Pianpian shook her head, thought for a moment, and then looked towards the slum in the distant suburbs across the river, saying, in Songyang City, the wealthy in the city center will join forces to suppress the geniuses emerging from the poor, trying every means to restrict the poor in schools to ensure their own advantages. But similarly, these wealthy people are also paying to provide food, some daily necessities, and some jobs that cultivators are unwilling to do to the poor in the distant suburbs, helping them to reproduce, and even giving them the opportunity to study in the city center. Although they are both poor, the wealthy in the city center have completely different attitudes towards different poor people. It's the same in Kongshu. For those immortals standing at the top of the 10 great sects, those super rich who want to become immortals inside and outside the sect, as well as the children and disciples of the rich, are the targets to be restricted and suppressed. And the lower levels of Kongshu may be like this slum, in the distant suburbs, belonging to the objects that need to be supported, and continuously produce poor geniuses. Listening to what Zhang Pianpian said, the evil god, who had been disguised as a rosary, sneered and said in Zhang Yu's mind, "He, the immortals want to make more and more people who want to go to university but can't, who want to enter a company but can't, who want to join a sect but can't, who want to become immortals but can't, so that the competition becomes more and more intense. Only by making the competition among these people below more and more intense, squeezing themselves dry, squeezing their families dry, and dedicating everything for the sake of competition, can the profits of the 10 great sects become higher and higher, enough for those high and mighty gods, those immortals overlooking Kongshu, to continue to comfortably enjoy sitting above the clouds." The evil god's tone revealed a kind of extreme envy, as if she couldn't wait to lie on the top of Kongshu and enjoy the continuous contributions of hundreds of millions of living beings. But suddenly, her heart stirred, and she suddenly realized something. Wait, damn it, could it be that some evil god king messed with me? Afraid that I would continue to improve and become a new evil god king. Zhang Yu naturally had no way of knowing what the evil god was thinking in her heart. He just listened to what the other party said in his mind, and a trace of thoughtfulness flashed in his eyes. Originally in his heart, all the rich people richer than him, whether they were rich people in Songyang City, rich people on the second level of Kongshu, or rich people on the third level of Kongshu, were rich people, like a symbol, and he didn't bother to distinguish the differences between them. But at this moment, Zhang Yu truly realized the great gap between rich people and rich people. Especially in the different levels of Kongshu, the attitudes of the rich people who were 1 level higher, 2 levels higher, and 3 levels higher than him would be different. And these rich people at each level would have completely different attitudes towards people who were different levels, lower or higher than them. This, all kinds of suppression, competition, wooing, support, exploitation. Extremely complex relationships ran through Kongshu like a tangled mess. At the same time, Zhang Pianpian's words continued. She continued, in short, the high school foundation establishment qualification certificate examination was finally decided by the heavenly court. In addition to the places for the high school students above, in order to exceptionally select and promote geniuses from all levels, a certain number of foundation establishment qualification certificates were also given to high school students at each level, and the high school students at each level would compete among themselves. It's just that the lower the level, the fewer the places. Listening to Zhang Pianpian's words, Zhang Yu seemed to see countless bloody storms regarding this high school, foundation, establishment, qualification, certificate examination. He didn't know how much game playing and fighting Kongshu had gone through to decide on such a high school, foundation, establishment, qualification, certificate, examination that each level had. Zhang Pianpian continued, however, although this examination was arranged to the first level of Kongshu under the insistence of the heavenly court. But just like the rich people in the city center will support the civilians in the distant suburbs, giving them opportunities to interview for high school, but the rich people in high school will suppress the poor students who come in. Although the heavenly court arranged the high school foundation establishment qualification certificate examination for the first level of Kongshu in recent years, it has long been gradually monopolized by the top forces of the first level of Kongshu. On the one hand, the news has been jointly concealed by various methods, and year after year, this examination has gradually become unknown in the first level of Kongshu, and fewer people know about it. It can be said, this is a hidden path for most high school students on the first level of Kongshu. Zhang Yu nodded slightly. If Zhang Pianpian hadn't told him today, he might never have known about this examination. He immediately understood that this was another kind of information gap, an important means that Zhang Pianpian had been emphasizing when competing in Kongshu. Just like the time he took the godhood outsourcing examination, ordinary high school students knew nothing about it. The same was true for this foundation establishment certificate examination. Ordinary high school students, let alone taking the foundation establishment qualification certificate, might not even know about the existence of such an examination, or even the foundation establishment qualification certificate itself. He suspected that many teachers probably didn't know about this high school foundation establishment qualification certificate examination. Like Lei Jun, who had introduced him to the university's foundation establishment qualification certificate examination, probably didn't know about the high school foundation establishment qualification certificate examination. Zhang Pianpian continued, on the other hand, the remaining high school students who can participate in this examination are also the strongest, most genius, and richest in the entire first level of Kongshu. To the point that they are delusional about obtaining the foundation establishment qualification certificate before university. And the first level of Kongshu only has 4 places a year. Except for Dao techniques not being used as selection indicators, these 4 places are for the most outstanding high school students in Dao part, mana, physical education, and martial arts. Wanting to obtain this certificate basically means that you have to become one of the 4 strongest high school students on the first level of Kongshu. This difficulty itself is actually another kind of monopoly by the top forces of the first level of Kongshu. Looking at Zhang Yu, and by Zhen Zhen's solemn appearance, Zhang Pianpian said lightly, just like I told you just now, if you want to climb up in Kongshu, you can't do without examinations and certificates. For example, taking the examination for the top 10 top universities, even if you can find all kinds of different upward paths in the rules. But on every path, you can't do without examinations. Choosing to take the foundation establishment qualification certificate examination instead of the prodigy class will only be another more difficult examination. Just listening to Zhang Pianpian's simple descriptions, Bai Zhenzhen could feel the difficulty of this examination, but in the hopeless situation of entering the prodigy class, as long as she could get into the top 10, she was willing to try no matter how difficult or fierce the competition was. In comparison, what she was more worried about was the monopoly of the top forces of the first level of Kongshu on this examination. So Bai Zhenzhen asked, if we participate in this examination, will there be any danger? Like the wealthy people in Songyang City joining forces to block the poor from taking the top 10? Jiang Pianpian said, according to the information I obtained from the inspection department, the high school foundation establishment qualification certificate examination is, after all, an examination determined by the heavenly court. Its specifications are not low, and the rules are very strict, just to exceptionally select geniuses from all levels. There are various means to prevent cheating, and prevent high-level students from descending to lower levels to compete for places. And in order to prevent cheating, all students need to hide their identities from the outside world, and the 8 divisions of righteous gods personally execute it. The top forces of the first level of Kongshu may be able to deceive the public outside the venue and conceal examination information. They may be able to improve the level of their own high school students and make this examination more difficult. But they will never be able to cheat in this examination set by the heavenly court, let alone dare to penetrate the protection of the 8 divisions of righteous gods and leak the identity of the contestants. That is to say, as long as you can successfully register, you don't have to worry about leaking your identity. Bai Zhenzhen then asked her second question of concern, if we pass the foundation establishment qualification certificate examination, can we enter the top 10? Zhang Pianpian told the truth, as long as you obtain the foundation establishment qualification certificate, your college entrance examination score only needs to be above 600 points to enter any one of the top 10 top universities without an interview. That is to say, as long as you obtain the foundation establishment qualification certificate, you don't need to expose your true strength and purpose in your subsequent high school life. Without causing the wealthy to join forces to strangle you, as long as you silently participate in the college entrance examination, you can enter the top 10. In this way, the situation of the wealthy families in Songyang City joining forces to strangle you will not occur. Jiang Pianpian said, but you must understand that this process is by no means simple. She thought for a moment and then said, it's mid-April now, and the most recent foundation establishment qualification certificate examination, on the first level of Kongshu, will probably start registering in mid-June, which is not long after I leave. Then, from the first round of examinations in August, the second round of examinations in early October, and the final round of examinations in early January next year, it will be about halfway through your second year of high school. This means that after I leave, you will have to complete the examination while attending school. In this process, you will also face various threats without my protection. Of course, as long as you don't expose that you are going to take the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate examination, and don't expose your goal of wanting to enter the top 10, there will be no joint strangulation by those wealthy families in Xiong City. But Chechen and Lanling will definitely deal with you after I leave. Zhang Yuan by Zhenjian nodded secretly upon hearing this, but compared to the joint strangulation by the wealthy families, they believed that as long as they supported each other and took care of each other, they could overcome the threats from Chechen and Lanling. In contrast, the difficulty of the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate examination itself might be the most difficult part of this whole thing. Jiang Pianpian looked at Zhang Yu and said, "Are you sure you want to give up the prodigy class and take the more difficult Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate examination?" Just before Zhang Yu could answer, the evil god had already preemptively said in his mind, "Promise her. You can take this Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate." Listening to Nova, Zhang Yu was slightly stunned when he heard the evil god's words in his mind. This evil god had previously been extremely opposed to him giving up the prodigy class and staying in Xiong City, so why did he suddenly change his mind? Seeming to sense Zhang Yu's confusion, the evil god continued in Zhang Yu's mind after Zhang Pianpian said that, "I also remembered something. I once heard the evil god king on the third underground floor say that there had been a fight in the upper Kongshu, which involved this Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate exam." The evil god still remembered that he had been reduced to working on the third underground floor of Kongshu at that time. As a result, he relied on a telephone and a telephone book to become the sales champion of the month. He even received several PhDs from the university. Not only did he receive a reward from the evil god king, but he also attended the evil god king's banquet and heard many secrets at the banquet. The evil god thought to himself, "It's a pity that the evil god king tricked me out of my sales skills and bonuses the next month, and sold this skill to a bunch of unemployed college dropouts who fled to the third underground floor, and then hired these college students to work, and finally kicked me out, so I could only find a new job." Thoughts flashed through his mind, and at this moment, the evil god continued, "I remember that the evil god king once lamented that the immortal venerable had promoted a series of qualification certificate exam quotas in order to increase the mobility of the middle and lower levels of Kongshu, which included changes to the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate quota. But they also had to take into account the disciples and descendants of the various immortals, and also had to weigh the quotas of the top 10 sects, and also had to balance the strength of the different factions in the heavenly court. The relationship of interests was intricate and complex, and I don't know how many struggles were launched. Anyway, by the end of the fight, some immortals went bankrupt gambling, some immortals went crazy and died in their caves, and some immortals even fled to the unknown regions of the dozen or so underground floors of Kongshu. But it is precisely because the struggle is so fierce that the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate exam that was finally set is full of authority, representing the final common will of the 10 great sects and the heavenly court composed of the immortals of the 10 great sects. So you don't have to worry about the safety of participating in this exam. As Jiang Pianpian said, the top forces on the first floor don't dare to violate the exam rules or cheat. At most, they will cover up the news outside the exam room and try their best to improve the strength of their own students. Feeling that Zhang Yu was thinking about what he said, the evil god quickly continued, "And if you get this Foundation Establishment Qualification certificate before entering university, the advantage is great, because this exam set by the heavenly court itself has a very high authority. It is simply a designation that the passer is one of the strongest high school students on the first floor. Holding this certificate to enter university, whether it is the treatment you receive, the courses you study, or the resources you get, will definitely be very different. In particular, you can directly enter the Foundation Establishment class of the university, directly study the Foundation Establishment courses, and enjoy the resource support at the Foundation Establishment level. This will give you a great advantage in the early stage of university, far greater than the prodigy class." Zhang Yu understood what the evil god meant. The difference is even greater than the difference between a key high school and an ordinary high school, right? Secondly, neither Bai Zhenjing nor Zhang Pianpian understand how terrifying your talent has become after my guidance. According to my observation during this period, as you master more and more cultivation methods, your progress will only get faster and faster. I firmly believe that you will become the strongest high school student on the first floor of Kengshu, and it will be easy to pass this foundation establishment qualification certificate exam. In comparison, with your terrifying aptitude, competing with those high school students who have not stepped into the immortal Tao for more than 3 years for the foundation establishment qualification certificate may be simpler than competing with so many key refining peak guys in university for the foundation establishment qualification certificate. The evil god sighed. If I didn't have no money now, I would definitely go all in on you. Of course, the evil god had some words that she didn't say for her true purpose in her heart. That is, once Zhang Pianpian leaves, Zhang Yuan Bai Zhenjin will stay in Songyang City to face an increasingly stressful environment, and Zhang Yu will inevitably continue to pursue stronger power, stronger talent, and stronger potential. Then, under such circumstances, the evil god judged that Zhang Yu would eventually listen to her guidance to hunt down the evil god, in order to enhance his potential. In addition to that, there is the problem of the true spiritual root. You don't even want to sell your best high school classmate, and you still want to climb up in Kengshu. What a saint. If I didn't see that your potential is really too strong, I wouldn't bother with you. The evil god knew that Zhang Yu was unwilling to kill people to seize their roots. Even if he went to the prodigy class alone, he would not have the assistance of the true spiritual root. Instead, staying to take the foundation establishment certificate would allow him to continue to use this true, spiritual, route to cultivate. After such comprehensive consideration, the evil god agreed that Zhang Yu should stay to take the foundation establishment qualification certificate. And what the evil god said did remind Zhang Yu of one thing. My biggest advantage is that I can quickly learn various cultivation methods and upgrade them to level 10. This is an advantage that other high school students can hardly match in just 3 years. However, once I get to university, those college students who have been refining Qi for longer than me and have been wandering at the peak of Qi refining must have practiced many cultivation methods. After all, for college students whose Tao heart, magic power, and physical strength have all reached the upper limit of Qi refining, one of the ways to further distinguish the intensity should be the number and strength of the cultivation methods. At that time, my advantage compared to these college students is not as great as it is now compared to high school students. Thinking of this, Zhang Yu was becoming more and more inclined to stay and take the foundation establishment qualification certificate. And Zhang Pianpian, who had been observing Zhang Yu, sighed at this moment. It seems that you have decided to stay with Bai Zhenjin. Zhang Yu pondered for a moment and finally nodded, and at the same time, a strange emotion rose in his heart. It was as if choosing not to go with Zhang Pianpian, but to stay with Bai Zhenjin, gave him a feeling of letting Zhang Pianpian down. It was like telling Zhang Pianpian's sister, "Oh, Zhen and I are the best. If you two want me to choose one to go with, I will choose Zhen." And Zhang Pianpian has been taking care of them for more than 4 months. So this strange emotion made Zhang Yu feel a trace of shame in his heart, under Zhang Pianpian's gaze. Bai Zhenjin, who was on the side, looked at Zhang Yu, and her heart gradually became agitated, as if a heat current was surging in her body. Yuzi really wants to stay and take the foundation establishment certificate with me. Thinking of this, the previous sense of loneliness, the darkness and cold of being in the depths of the ice river, seemed to be swept away, replaced by a sense of security. Along with this sense of security, along with the agitation in her heart, even the true spiritual root in her belly trembled slightly. What is this broken spiritual route excited about? Is it so nostalgic for Yuzi's body? Do you want to go in so much? But when Bai Zhenjin thought about it, she thought that the true spiritual route might be feeding back her own thoughts, a thought of wanting to be good to Zhang Yu after seeing Zhang Yu stay and take the foundation establishment certificate with her. And the way to be good to Zhang Yu is to stuff the true spiritual route into the other party's body. After all, this is the most valuable thing on Bai Zhenjin's body. This kind of behavior of lending one's most valuable things to the other party is rarely done, even by the closest relatives in Kengshu. It can generally only be done after signing a contract, including but not limited to lending the brain, heart, kidneys to the other party for use. Bai Jinjin realized her thoughts at this moment, and her eyes looking at Zhang Yu also became a little different. She thought to herself, on you, from now on, your friendliness ranking here will always be the first, and I will be the best in the world, and you can let me call you dad every day. Zhang Pianpian looked at the two of them lightly, and said, since you have decided to stay, then stay. The road of immortality is ultimately chosen by yourself, and walked out step by step. But since you have decided to stay, then don't regret it. In the following time, you must seize every minute, every second, and every penny to cultivate. The Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate exam on the first floor of Kongshu is divided into 3 rounds in total. It is now mid-April. After registering in mid-June, the first round of exams is in August. The exam tests comprehensive quality, and the difficulty is the lowest of the 3 rounds, but you must at least reach the level of a senior in high school to have a chance to pass. The second round is the special skill exam in October. Students are assessed separately according to the 4 categories of Dao Heart, Magic Power, Sports, and Martial Arts. At this time, you must reach the level of the first place in the city's high school competition to have a chance to pass the line. The third round is the final exam in early January next year. The remaining students compete with each other, and finally decide the strongest in the 4 tracks of Dao Heart, Magic Power, Sports, and Martial Arts, and award the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate. Listening to this statement of the 3 rounds of exams, Zhang Yu gradually outlined the exam framework of the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate. This competition, ultimately, does not compare the comprehensive quality of the students. The key screening criterion is the special skills in the 4 directions of Dao Heart, Magic Power, Sports, and Martial Arts. Indeed, after all, they are high school students. Of course, it is impossible to be as comprehensive as those college students who have been tempered in the key refining stage for a long time, so the students that this exam wants to screen out are for genius students with extremely high special skills in 4 different directions. If you want to pass the exam, the key lies in how long the long board is. Zhang Yu then asked curiously, where is the exam location? Zhang Pianpian said, whether it is registration or the exam, it will be held in Xiandu. Xiandu City is the most prosperous, largest, and supergiant city in Kongshu first floor, far exceeding the scale of Songyang City. Zhang Yu remembered that Xiandu was about 1,500 kilometers away from Songyang. Thinking that the entire exam is not only divided into 3 rounds, spanning half a year, but also that the exam location is in Xiandu, thousands of miles away, Bai Zhenjin on the side couldn't help but sigh. Bai Zhenjin, this exam really takes a lot of time. I'm afraid I have to ask for a lot of holidays. And transportation, accommodation, and food will cost a lot, right? I read online that the prices in Xiandu are very expensive. Zhang Pianpian nodded, and said the exam location and exam time are themselves the screening criterion. Like, you don't have an intercity travel permit yet, right? If you want to leave the city, especially to go to Xiandu City, you must apply for an intercity travel permit, and you must provide proof of education, income, and proof of renting or owning a house. Zhang Yu nodded slightly. Hearing the arrangement of the exam and the requirements of the intercity travel permit, he felt that he heard a word. If you don't even have a little spare money and free time, or even can't afford to rent a house, then don't even think about taking this exam, and stay in your hometown to work with peace of mind. Ask for a monthly ticket. Zhang Pianpian continued, hearing this, you should understand that your time is very tight. Of course, even if you fail this time, you can fight again next year. According to Zhang Pianpian, this high school foundation establishment qualification certificate exam starts in mid-June every year, and results are released in early January of the following year. In other words, for each graduating class of high school students, there are a total of 2 opportunities during the 3 years of high school. The first is to register at the end of the first year and obtain the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate in the second year. The second opportunity is to register at the end of the second year and obtain the Foundation Establishment Qualification Certificate in the third year. And in Zhang Yu's mind, the voice of the evil god rang out. Although it's still getting the Foundation Establishment Certificate, obtaining it in the second year is clearly different from obtaining it in the third year. Writing it on your resume will inevitably lead to different treatment at the university level. Without the evil god needing to say it, Zhang Yu could naturally guess this point. Given Kunshu's nature, getting the foundation establishment certificate in the third year versus the second year after getting to university, isn't that the difference between a Beilong person and a Songyang person? How would you choose between a Beilong person and a Songyang person? If there was a choice, he Dio, the son of the school board member, would probably just run straight to Beilong. Faced with an opportunity to transform himself into a Beilong person, with a little effort, how could Zhang Yu let it go? He nodded towards Zhang Pianpian. We will definitely try both opportunities. It's definitely better to get the foundation establishment qualification certificate as early as possible. Zhang Pianpian continued, you should be clear about that yourselves. Besides that, there's the choice of exam specialty, and some arrangements I'll make for you before I leave. Because there are only 4 spots for the foundation establishment certificate exam, 1 each in Dao Heart, Mana, physical education, and martial arts. Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin, naturally, had to stagger their development. With the help of her spirit root, Bai Zhenjin was making good progress in Mana, physical education, and martial arts. But considering that, with the blessing of her true spirit root, her talent in martial arts has always been the strongest, she ultimately chose the martial arts path. And with the assistance of the feather book and his true spirit root, Zhang Yu was also very confident in Mana, physical education, and martial arts, but considering that Bai Zhenjin had already chosen martial arts, the only choices left for him were Mana and physical education. Then naturally I'll choose physical education. After all, in order to prepare for the sports competition during this time, my progress in physical strength has completely surpassed my Mana. Continuing to advance rapidly in physical strength, and finally becoming the strongest in physical education, among the high school students on the first level of Kunshu, is not impossible. After Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin had each chosen their exam directions, Zhang Pianpian continued, you have tight schedules, heavy tasks, and insufficient funds next, so after the bonuses and endorsement fees come in, remember not to spend the money recklessly. For example, don't pay off the loan of 10 million in one go. Not only don't pay it off, but if you can even consider borrowing a little more. Spend every penny on improving your strength in the next 8 months. Before I leave, I will also try to help you cover up a bit, and try to buy you more time to become stronger. I'll be waiting for you at Wanfa University. Early morning. Songyang High School. Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin slowly walked towards the school gate with tired bodies. Yesterday evening's sports competition had already greatly consumed their physical strength. After the competition, they discussed the foundation establishment qualification certificate with Zhang Pianpian, and after Zhang Pianpian left, they didn't rest, but began planning their next cultivation plan. After all, if they wanted to successfully pass the foundation establishment qualification certificate exam and defeat the other competitors, the first-year courses in Songyang High School were definitely not enough. They needed a more suitable, more aggressive, and more effective cultivation plan for themselves. Things like how to spend money next, which cultivation techniques to practice, what medicines to use, and some expenses related to the exam, were all carefully calculated and planned. Just then, Bai Zhenjin suddenly looked at the big screen at the school gate and widened her eyes. Congratulations to Zhang Yu for winning the first prize in the Songyang City Sports Competition. Zhang Yu, with his outstanding talent and outstanding qualifications, overcame the difficulties in material conditions. With such unparalleled talent, he will surely achieve more excellent results in the future. Bai Zhenjin looked at the essay rolling on the screen. Almost the entire screen was praising Zhang Yu's peerless talent. After reading it, she was shocked. What about me? Why didn't they mention me? She was also the 5th place in the sports competition, but she wasn't even worthy of being mentioned. But Zhang Yu, who was on the side, looked at the essay on the screen, but only felt angry and cold, and couldn't be happy at all. If it was him a few months younger, he would have liked this kind of article praising himself very much. But now when he saw the screen full of talent and qualifications, he only felt that his commercial value had been lowered again. Family, who understands? Getting first place and being said to rely purely on talent. How much malice does this world have towards geniuses? Who the hell wrote this article? Can someone get it taken down? Later, Zhang Yu learned that this was an article arranged by the student council. He immediately understood. Chechen, this guy, also wants to suppress my commercial value. Could it be that he and that Le Jingchen from Xian are in the same gang? Recalling that Chechen and Lanling had specifically warned him during the competition, Zhang Yu increasingly suspected that these two had joined forces with Xian High School, or Xian Pharmaceuticals. Just then, Zhao Tianxing, who was on the road, saw Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin. His eyes lit up, and he came up to them. Seeing Zhang Yu deep in thought, Zhao Tianxing asked curiously, "Anew, what are you thinking about?" Zhang Yu sighed and said, "I'm thinking about how to prove that I'm not a genius, just an ordinary person, who can only improve his grades with money." Zhao Tianxing was slightly stunned. Was Yuzi hinting at him? Zhang Yu continued, "Then I realized that for me, proving that I'm an ordinary person is much, much harder than proving that I'm a genius. My talent is like the sun, it's impossible to hide it. Difficult, it's really too difficult." Zhao Tianxing couldn't help but recall Zhang Yu from half a year ago, and thought to himself, "Anew, I still prefer you the way you were half a year ago. You weren't like this back then. Back then, you were like a clown when you stood in front of Avin, Qi and Shen, and he died, just like me." Looking at Zhang Yu's changed face at this moment, Zhao Tianxing couldn't help but sigh that grades can corrupt students. Then, he suddenly had a deeper understanding of his own theory of poor, weak clowns. Clowns can also transform into each other. Half a year ago, Zhang Yu was a clown in front of He Daiyu, but now He Daiyu has become a clown in front of Zhang Yu. The latest novels are first published on 69shu.com. This is The Theory of Clown Relativity. In the end, it's all about strength, like scores and wealth. Zhao Tianxing thought, if he were to grab Zhang Yu's neck the moment he finished speaking, pin him to the ground, and prevent him from moving, and then say calmly, "Oh? Is it hard to prove?" Zhao Tianxing thought to himself, if that happened, the identity of the clown would be reversed again. Alas, if you want to stand tall and speak loudly in school, you still have to rely on strength. Thinking of this, Zhao Tianxing became even more determined to purchase the technology to modify his muscles with imitation demon tendons. And within the entire Xiong High School, there were quite a few students who thought like Zhao Tianxing, except that some were inclined to imitate demon tendons, some wanted super metabolism, and a small number decided to buy Red Pagoda's true dragon bloodline. Zhang Yu and the other two walked into the classroom, and as soon as Zhang Yu sat down, he continued to use his mobile phone to check the information of various cultivation methods. He thought to himself, although I plan to take the sports path and continue to improve my physical strength, I must also ensure that my Dao heart and mana don't lag behind. Especially Dao heart and mana, I have to find replacements for the heavenly martial heart refining art and the Jutian Qi gathering method to ensure that while I refine my body every day, my Dao heart and mana can also steadily increase. However, on the cultivation method website, there were simply countless cultivation methods. Even if he looked through the rankings, Zhang Yu was dazzled and didn't know how to choose. Just then, the evil god, who had been disguised as a prayer bead, suddenly said, "Search for the Great Sun Qi Si." Zhang Yu was slightly stunned, but still searched for the Great Sun Qi Si breathing technique, only to find that it was a very low-selling expert-level cultivation method, suitable for Qi refining in the middle stage. As for the first reason for the low sales, it was because this cultivation method was expensive, costing a full 120,000 for the right to use it. And the second reason for the low sales was because this cultivation method was too difficult to practice. Especially the difficulty of this Great Sun Qi Si, which was not reflected in how difficult it was to comprehend, how difficult it was to practice, or how high the requirements were. The difficulty of the Great Sun Qi Si lay in time. This was a cultivation method that could condense the essence of the sun and moon, as long as it received sunlight, and absorb the spiritual energy in the light of heaven and earth to refine mana. Zhang Yu looked at the introduction, and thought to himself, like the Jutian breathing method, it can passively breathe in energy. As long as there is light, the Great Sun Qi Si can perform continuous passive breathing, especially when the light is stronger, the breathing effect is also stronger. However, this technique emphasizes a gradual process. If the first level can be completed in 1 month of sunlight, then the second level will take 2 months to break through, and the third level will deepen again, requiring 4 months to break through. The time spent will double in this way, and the time spent will be longer and longer towards the end. When it reaches the 8th level, it will take 10 years of effort to break through another level. Breaking through from the 9th level to the 10th level will take more than 20 years. Seeing this, Zhang Yu sighed in his heart. Even if someone bought this cultivation method, they should use it as a transitional breathing technique, relying on the sunlight breathing to increase their mana a little more. No wonder so few people buy it. But it's just right for me. Xiong Yu began to be curious about what effect this cultivation method, which would take decades to cultivate to the 10th level, would have after being pushed to the 10th level by himself. Suddenly, Xiong Yu remembered the evil god who had asked him to search for the great sun Qi, and thought that this guy had been following him 24 hours a day recently, and knew which cultivation method was most suitable for him. Thinking of this, Xiong Yu whispered, "It's been so long, I still don't know what to call you." The evil god chuckled and a clear female voice echoed in Xiong Yu's mind, "Just call me Fuji." "Xiong Yu, I told you long ago, with my help, your path to climb up in Kongshu will be smoother,